Hey, insiders, how are you today? I am so excited to be jumping on with you live for our first live Q&A since a lot of you joined the Epic Success Academy. I wanted to make sure you had some time to really dive into Module 1, start to really do the work and to really be in the zone with your thoughts so that we could answer some real questions, not like the surface level questions. So as you're jumping on, let me know you're here. I see Christina is here, Dee's here, Jean's here, Jan's here. A lot of our VIPers jumping on to our live call. Not a surprise. Such action takers. Love them to pieces. So I want to check in the comments. Please let me know how you're doing, how the 4 R's are going, how the mind matrix is going, any place that you feel like you need some support around today. Otherwise, I'm going to talk a little bit about thinking like an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur. So Christina says, I'm almost afraid to vision now because I start crying. I feel like it's not going to come true. My aunt feels so real that I'm having trouble refuting it. All right. So first of all, tell me a little bit more, Christina, about the fear that is surrounding it. And I would, if you want to be brave with this and just say, what is the limiting belief? Is the limiting belief you just don't think it's going to come true? Or what is it that you're actually saying to yourself? Because it is in the words, the thoughts that we're saying to ourselves that we really are building a case for our limiting belief. And so we want to help you not build a case for that. Hey, Gail, good to see you. So Christina, I will wait for you to answer that question. Is really, what is the specific belief that you have? And that is where we're going to go after it. So we can't go after generalities. And a lot of times that's what people do. They just have a general feeling. And so they give up. The limiting belief is the vision is too big for me. And I'm going to let people down like I have before. Okay, excellent. So tell me, Christina, can you see parts of the vision, like the next step? So you're seeing this huge vision and it's really, 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 really big. And you feel like, okay, I'm going to let people down if I don't create this vision. So have you ever had the circumstance where you have committed to a vision and you've seen it through? Let me know that in the comments. Hi, Gwen. Good to see you. Hi, Shelly. We're talking to Christina, and Christina's comment was that she almost feels like she's going to start crying when she's thinking about her vision because it's so big, and then she's got this limiting belief that it's too big for her and she's going to let people down in the process. So Christina, let's talk through any time that you can think of that you have set an intention about something that hasn't been done before and you followed through and you didn't let people down. I'd like to know that in the comments too. See, this is where if we were talking back and forth, this would be so much better. I want you to use this powerful piece of knowing because you have evidence, Christina, that you do follow through. So, and you don't let people down. You show up every Sunday. People are there waiting for you. You show up, you deliver, through the power of the spirit, and then you are helping to transform them. So a lot of times when we have such a big vision, such a big dream, right? And we start making it so big that the fear of not being able to figure out the right next step is the thing that starts to trip us up. So then we feel like, oh, it'll never happen because it's so big. So Christina, Module 2 really goes through and breaks down vision for you. And if you haven't gotten there yet, I would really encourage you to move toward that, because as you take something that is really, really, really big and you start to chunk it down into pieces that are required to help the vision come to life. And you can start to look at those pieces as the next best step toward that big vision. And then you start to take action toward that vision. Your brain that is in this place of like panic, right? Panic around it's not going to happen and I'm going to let people down. It starts to see that you're taking action. And in that action, even though you're going to feel some resistance around it, in that action, you actually start the neurochemical process to calm that fight or flight, the rabbit trail down, and you allow your brain to start seeing, oh, she's taking some steps toward this. Okay, this isn't that dangerous. So what's happening in your brain right now is it's so big and it's such a huge vision that your brain's seeing it as a massive threat. Right? So you're feeling scared, you're feeling anxious, and all of those feelings, that's where anxiety comes from. It's that feeling of fight or flight of like, I can't do this. I don't know if I have what it takes. I might let people down. And then you stay in that open fight or flight state instead of chunking down that vision into really actionable steps and then starting to take the very next best step toward that vision. And, really a vision gets accomplished by that process. And that's why in the program itself, we break those things down for you, just the way the brain accepts and starts to rewire visions. So, you're doing something probably that's never been done before. So of course, like we have this strange expectation that we shouldn't feel anxious, nervous, and all of those feelings. And the reality is your brain is wired in such a way at this point in time that it should be doing that. That's actually a high functioning brain because it's saying you've never done this before. This seems big. This seems like a risk. And you get flooded with those neurochemicals. What I'm encouraging you to do is, especially since you have the evidence of showing up every Sunday and delivering no matter what, you have the skill base to take something that is big, like a Sunday service, breaking it down into understandable steps and going for it. So definitely jump through module 2 and look through that and do that with your vision and see. And what I'd love for you to post in the group is for you to post the next best step toward doing your vision and when you're going to do that and see how things start to roll from there. Make sense? All right, I've got to go back up as people have jumped on. I want to make sure I catch everybody toward the beginning, and then I'll see if you've commented. You have seen a lot through. Let me see if you said anything else. So I'm looking forward to module 2, look at the action step right before coming on. Good. I'm developing a course, want to share it with women in Tanzania. That's right. I know what you want to do. So yeah, that's what's getting in your way is the fact that it's so big to you in your mind that your mind is seeing it it's just a massive threat. And that, my friend, is exactly where so many entrepreneurs get stuck. I've got a big monstrous thing I've got to do, and I don't know how to break it down. So you start feeling all of the neurochemicals. That's what you're feeling. And we see it as a deficit or something wrong with us. That shows me that you're a high performing, your brain is functioning beautifully and doing exactly what it's supposed to do, which is fire off all the fight or flight chemicals when you're about to take a risk that you haven't told your brain is safe. So one of the ways you tell it it's safe is by the process that's in module 2 and module 3, which is chunking down the goal into actionable steps and categorizing those steps, and then literally just putting 2 to 3 of those things in your schedule each day and moving toward it. So I hope that helps. I'll look forward to you tagging me in the group and letting me know what that next step is going to be. And I think you're going to find some momentum from there. So super excited for you. Jen asks, the difference between limiting beliefs, self-sabotaging, and automatic negative thoughts, are they the same? They can be. It's all kind of semantics, right? If you have a limiting belief, if you have a thought that doesn't serve you, then if you repeat it over time, it becomes an automatic limiting belief or negative thought, and they can sabotage you. So they can be one and the same. A thought in and of itself is not a limiting belief or self-sabotaging or automatic negative thought. It's the thought repeated over time combined with emotion that gets automated that has that sabotage potential and that automatic negative thought firing. So those, and if we have some time today, I'd like to go through that with you just to re-upload for everyone how we go about creating a belief to begin with that can sabotage us or can propel us. So we will do that if we have time. Good to see you from Vancouver, Gail. Hey, Susan, good to see you. Tara says, I still feel frozen in place and I'm not doing the stuff I need to do. Will this 21 days help sort it out? Yes. And so it's a yes and. So absolutely. And again, I'm going to say this a lot, so you guys will hear me say this a whole lot. We have this illusion that we should feel amazing and great and not feel fear and overwhelm and feel all those feelings. And that's not realistic. That the realistic thing is your brain thinks safe, familiar, don't die, save yourself from the tiger kind of survival, right? And we have a big dream or big thing and we're frozen. We get frozen. So the fight or flight chemicals are fight, flight, or freeze. So that tells me you're in the freeze, which just means you get an equal amount of both hormones and it keeps you frozen. Now, that is only being created by the thoughts. So the thoughts that create the overwhelm, which creates the freezing, are your choice. So yes, they're probably automated at this point, and that's what we're doing the mind matrix around. So I would really encourage you, Tara, have you gone through and really even said, like, when you feel frozen, right? Have you gone through and really discovered what is it that you're saying to yourself and worked that 4-hour process, that mind matrix process around that? Because in that and in practicing the truth that comes out of that, you'll get unstuck. So that is where I would encourage you to spend your time. Shelly says, I'm here. What about the box? Don't know what that means. You can put some more details on there. Hi, from Gwen from Calgary. Is it cold up there already? Probably is. Lovely. Oh, hey, Angela. Good to see you. One of my neuro coaches there. She is working on the model now. So a lot of you know that we have a NeuroCoach school where we teach you how to learn the methodology and model behind NeuroCoaching so that you can become a better coach or learn to become a coach. And so that's Angela is in that group. So I'm excited that you're here. Stephanie, good to see you, Stephanie. You woke up today feeling anxious. I'm a single mom, barely making enough to pay for everything, and Christmas is coming. Oh yeah, that brings on the anxiety for a lot of us. My son has been counting down the days about 2 weeks now, right? Oh yeah, and then all the stuff in school that comes up and stuff like that. So let me ask you this question, Stephanie. How is focusing on the anxiety helping at this point? And I'm asking that with a lot of love in my heart for you, but the thoughts that create your emotions, which create the anxiety, are lack, not enough, not sure if I can, don't know if I have what it takes, don't know if this will happen, don't want to let my son down, all of those things, right? So even though this doesn't have anything to do with business, it stalls you from your business. Like, how can you keep working when when fight or flight gets turned on? It's hard to focus. It's hard to think clearly. So that is what that's what's happening to you right now. So this, Stephanie, is a perfect opportunity for you to lean into that resistance and not let it take you down that rabbit trail, but to just observe it, become real curious about it. What is it that I'm saying to myself? Now you have some of it here written down, but I would say when you start to feel that panic, that anxiety, and all that around it, start doing the process. You guys are going to hear me say this a lot. You got to trust the process. We tend to trust our faulty emotions and faulty thinking more than we trust the process of changing them. And so if you do not want to feel the way you feel right now, then we got to get at the thought that's creating the feeling, and we've got to take it through the mind matrix and rewire it. So I would encourage you to do that same thing. Sit down for a few minutes, think about Christmas, think about your son, think about all that excitement, think about all the stuff that he's asking for, and really write down what is coming up for you in your words, and work through the process, work through the mind matrix process with that. And then it's going to be a matter of repetition. You've got to train your brain with the thoughts that you want to create the outcome you want. Now, I know you might be saying, well, the outcome I want is to have enough money so that this doesn't become a problem. Well, let me ask you this in reference to that. How much do you think more anxious thoughts are going to actually create that for you? That they won't. And so I really want to encourage you to take this time right now. It's a beautiful time, a beautiful gift that's being given to you to hear the thoughts that are probably coming up, but that are triggering the things that are probably going on business wise as well. So you get this beautiful mirror to be able to look at, to do the mind matrix process around. This is why I kept everybody camped in module 1 for a while, to get you more familiar with it. And this is something you'll come back to time and time again. So this is a great opportunity, Stephanie, for you to go back through and to do the work around that. And I would love for you, just from an accountability sense, to tag me in the group and tell me what your truth is. After you've worked through a mind matrix, tell me what your truth is. And then I would encourage you to record yourself with those and to be listening to them morning and night as you start to train your brain to think differently about money and about their ability to make it. So hopefully that helps. Angela says, chunking it down into steps has helped me tremendously. Yeah, that is how your brain works. It does not work in the macro, it works in the micro, and that you get brain chemicals that actually support that. Good to see you, Jermaine. Tracy, good to see you. That's another one of my NeuroCoaches, just truly training their coaching minds to be able to make massive transformations in people's lives. So excited that you're here, Tracy. Super cool to see all these from Canada. I know all my Canadians are in the house today. I love it. You are welcome, Christina. You are welcome. I'm glad you feel better. And that is the next action steps. And look, it's not your fault, Stephanie and Christina, like, it's not your fault. You've just been wired this way. So I want you to have a lot of grace and love for yourself around this, and realize you now have the opportunity to choose differently. And it's like, as we speak about it, sorry about that, as we speak about it, logically, you know that being anxious and feeling overwhelmed isn't going to help you get to that place. But then just thinking that just makes you feel bad about yourself, right? And that's not helpful. What's helpful is getting after the thought that's creating that feeling and putting it through that mind matrix process that really will take you there. And if you get stuck at all with that, you can tag me and let me know, and myself or my master coaches will help you through that for sure. Hi, Cindy. Good to see you. Okay, so Tara, you're saying frozen seems to be around your fears of success and failure. Thank you for admitting that, because a lot of times people can't see that. So your success, you're afraid of failing, and then what will happen if you succeed? Again, the big key there is going after what are you specifically saying to yourself in that moment. Because once you can get to that, it's kind of like peeling an onion. You get that big, thick outer layer. The inner layers go really, really quickly. And as I've mentioned before, really, they do boil down to 1 to 2 to 3 thoughts that are really at the core, and you will discover that as you do the work. So here's the thing. You're never going to have me tell you exactly, okay, this is what you need to think, because the reality is that's just a Band-Aid. That is a Band-Aid. What we need to do is get you trained to learn how to listen, and then use that mind matrix process to recognize, record, actually writing it down, to go through that refuting process, both sides of it, and then to replace. And I was talking to one of my NeuroCoaches the other day, and I was saying, I think we're going to actually alter it to say the 5R process, because after you replace it, right after you refute it, and that process is in replacing it, then I want you to record it. Record your voice saying all those truths and listen to it in the morning and the night, because there is no better affirmation. No guru can tell you a better way to train your brain than your own words, because that is what your subconscious is used to listening to, and it will believe you. Remember, it takes about 21 days for that process. And then at 67 days, it's completely rewired. But remember, day 21 to 67 is like compounding interest. It starts to go really fast. So Tara, I really hope I don't know if it's Tara or Tara. I hate not being able, this is where I want to see you face to face. So we'll make that different next time. Debbie, hi, good to see you, Debbie. I haven't been able to really go through the 4 R's in the moment the thought pops up. Any advice? Yes, I have great advice. when the thought pops up, you either grab your phone or you grab a piece of paper or whatever you know you'll return to and write it down exactly as you said it, and then go back to it because it's in there. As long as you're getting the specific words down, if you can't do the work in the moment, you come back. Those words are what you're telling yourself. So you can just come right back to them. That's a great question, Debbie. And yeah, there's times like you're in the middle of a meeting and the thought pops through your mind. I actually have had that happen on a podcast interview where I was in the middle of a podcast interview and it wasn't live, so I know that it could be edited out. I said, excuse me for 1 second. And I just typed it up and I said, okay, I'm back. So that's what I would encourage you to do. Really write it down so that you can get back to it. Let me see. Snowy, but not too cold. Oh, that's perfect. Love it. Oh my goodness. I know, Stephanie says, I know they won't help even when knowing, yeah, you'll go back through the 4 hours. Definitely. And tag me, Stephanie, let me know what your truth is. That's really, really important. Okay. I love the community that's going on in here. It's making me so happy. Okay. Susan asks, how do you handle setbacks? Great question. My monkey brain seriously reared its head last night and this morning. My son, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. And at a photo session, produced photos of a pregnant mom and her family. They asked their money back because I didn't educate them well enough for pricing in advance. First time this has happened, it was my fault. Doing well, trying to combat the thoughts, but wow. Yeah, so my encouragement, Susan, is to, and I will sound like a broken record after a while, but it is for you. I would encourage you that I would even say not to use this in the sense that it's happened for you. And here's what I mean by that. Now you're going to get to what did you say to yourself when that client said that, right? So the client says, I want my money back because you didn't, tell me about it soon enough. And then I want you to really get in touch with what is it that you said about yourself to yourself and write that down and do the work around that and trust the process around that. Because I guarantee you that is going to reveal to you something. And then on the flip side, the business coach in me can't help to do this, but I would just go back to them and just say, you know what, you're right. I'd like to make this right and try to engage with them again and see if you can't retain them as a client. Because when we make mistakes, sometimes we feel like, oh, we'll just give them the money back and move on. But most people just want to be served and loved. And so I would encourage you from the business side to do that. But from the mind and the brain side, I really would encourage you to sit with what does that make you feel like about yourself? And then do the mind matrix around it, because you don't want to leave this experience and carry it forward into your business. You want to stop it right here. And the reality is you will have other refunds, the kind of thing. If you're in business at all and you're making any impact, it's going to happen. So I would encourage you to really go after that. And again, in the group, I would want you to tag me and tell me the truth that came out of that, the piece that you're going to record and listen to over and over again. And I know that is a challenge when it's that emotionally intense, but remember, those emotions are being created by the thought. So let's get after that thought and choose if that's the thought that you want to keep or work the mind matrix around it so we can rewire it into one that does. Jan asks, the 4R exercise is signed in the same as the mind matrix. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I love it. Tracy has been doing a lot of this work over the last week. Yeah. And that's the thing. This is the greatest thing about the neurocoaching method is that it's, we all want that, you've heard me say this a lot, that blue pill, right? That we can just pop in and we never, ever, ever have another belief that stops us. And we always do what's going to create our life to be amazing, but that's not real. What's real is learning that we are the creator of our thoughts, learning that the way our brain wires and fires together, learning that we are in control of that process, that the subconscious has to submit to what the conscious brain creates. And knowing that if you're not where you want to be, or if you're having some of these thoughts, that it's going to create an opportunity for you to work through the process, to trust the process, and to begin the rewire. And the greatest news of all is, look, the reality is Tracy's leveling up. So she's having to deal with like some next level stuff, and that's okay. The confidence comes from knowing when you really get practiced at this and you understand that you really do have the power and the control to think the thoughts that creates the life that you want, and that you're the kind of person that trusts the process to remove the things that you don't, and you stick with it, and that you have that level of integrity for yourself. That's when you become so powerful in your life and your business that there's nothing you can't do. So Tracy, I'm proud of you for continuing the work as you learn how to do the work for other people. I'm so excited for you. I love that. Record it, doing that today. Yeah, absolutely, Angela. It is a key thing. Anytime that something new comes up for me, I immediately go to the mind. I am doing the work alongside you guys, right? When something comes up, I'm doing the work, and then I'm as I refute it, I take that replacement statements and I record it, and I'm listening to it because I want my brain to be conditioned to have the thought that I want, not the thought that's automatic. And we just need to go about replacing that. Jermaine says, I've started and stopped module 1 4 times already. Yep. I feel the emotions of overwhelm and I give in. Then I start the process all over again. Great. So keep starting and keep going, Jermaine. Remember, the only overwhelm you're feeling is just a cascade of neurochemicals that are saying, I'm threatened because I'm starting something new. So if we come into it with the expectation that there's going to be some resistance, and that literally I will coach you to say, I'm the kind of person that I can do hard things. And this isn't hard, but your brain thinks it's hard. So telling your brain, I can do this. Look, and think about other places in your life that you've done something that was difficult in the beginning. Remember, you have a perception that it's difficult. It's not difficult. It's actually very easy, but you have a belief that it's going to be difficult. That's built up over time. That's automated. So you've got to give your brain evidence. Remember when I did this thing and it was hard, but I got through, and wow, think about that result. I'm guarantee you have at least one of those. So you're just going to have to push through that resistance and keep going, right? Keep going. Debbie says, yes, I can say anything out loud. I can't say anything out loud. Yeah, absolutely. You are welcome, Susan. Tracy says, literally, I got a text from my dad critiquing my business page. Oh, the ants. Oh my goodness, y'all. That opens a can of worms, right? It's always where we don't want it to be coming from, the people close to us, those people that know us well, that can push our buttons, that can trigger us. And that is, I will always say this, and sometimes it's through gritted teeth when it comes my way, but isn't that a beautiful gift to be given to you so that you can go through and stand on what is true for you? Guys, we cannot rewire other people's brains as much as we want to. Oh, do we want to sometimes? But the reality is, all we can do is truly decide to become the creator of our thoughts and create the thoughts that we choose to have. And when somebody else reflects something differently that triggers us, let's use that as an opportunity to go in and say, do I choose to accept that or not? And if I do, then am I willing to have that belief that that my website is whatever? And obviously your adult mind will argue against that, but go in and do the work, because when they're close to us, a dad, a spouse, a best friend, it triggers the place of wanting to be loved. It triggers the place of worthiness. It triggers that deep base need that we all have. And y'all, that's where most of the things that we've been talking about really boil down to, that feeling of enoughness. Do I have what it takes? Am I worthy? Can I do this? Am I enough? And so as we go through and do the mind matrix along with that specific thing that we're saying to ourselves, we get to become the creator and the author of our thoughts and choose what we are willing to believe and to not believe. So Tracy, I am there alongside you, girl. Debbie says, I've not been recording my replacement statements. Well, great. Now you've got them still written down. So go ahead and do that. And, some people they just never listen to music. They're not auditory at all. They're just readers. Then I would say read it if that's you. But I would say majority, 80 to 90% of people that I work with one-on-one, that audio recording is super helpful, especially because if you're in an environment, right, where you can't necessarily listen, you can pop your earbuds in and you can hear yourself. Super, super valuable. Angela, hey, Angela, what did you say? I've recently dedicated a journal just to this. Just the other day, driving to Atlanta for leading a workshop, my voice recorder was my best friend. Yeah, it really is, because especially when you're alone, you can't be texting yourself or writing when you're driving. So that voice recorder is a beautiful thing. My daily, Angela also says my daily brain priming includes this phrase: I can do hard and challenging things. Yeah, somewhere along the line, we and I'm going to do a whole podcast around this because this is something that's been coming up a lot. But somewhere we believe the idea that if it's a good thing to do, if it's something that I should believe, then it shouldn't be hard, that it should just be aligned, that it should just be simple. That's not true. You know, your brain is set up in a way that it wants to keep you safe, not eaten by tigers, and to have everything just as it is right now. So if everything as it is right now is exactly how you want it, then great. But if there are some things that need to shift, that need to change, then encourage yourself to realize that you can do things that seem hard, right? Because isn't it true? You say, I could do hard things, and then you just get started and you go, wait, that wasn't that hard. But the resistance that builds up, that's neurochemicals, you guys. That is happening because your brain is saying, no, toddler brain in front of the candy aisle kind of thing. That isn't safe. Why does your brain do that? Because it's not normal, common. It's not something that you've been doing. So I would really like for you to be encouraged when you feel that, to actually go, oh, I'm feeling resistance. That's interesting. Okay, but what's on the other side of this is something I want. So that resistance is just evidence that I need to push through, and I can do hard things. I can do things that seem hard. I can persevere. I can be responsible. I can be committed. And then recall it to your mind times that you have been those things and that it worked and that you persevered. And that is going to get you so much further than you can ever realize. Let me see. She says, I will now. Christina says, I just want to, thank you for the morning routine. I love it so much. Spent time in the Word for study always, but now I'm spending so much more time in early AM just for me. Yeah, so many breakthroughs. Your brain is at this optimal state before stimulus starts overloading it. So it really is, if you can make margin in that morning time, even if it's 15 or 20 minutes, just so that you can truly choose the thoughts that you want to think for the day, your intentions for the day. You know, spend time in scripture if you're a Bible person, or, you know, just doing journaling, whatever it is, but giving yourself that time is super important. Kathy says, one of the goals is to make 10K a month. I know you have challenged us to think as though I have already done this. How do I do it if I know I'm not making 10,000 a month? I guess there's a disconnect for me. Yes. So remember, your brain does not know the difference. You know the difference. You're looking at okay. So the circumstances that you're looking at, Kathy, this is a great question. Your circumstances that you're looking at around you are evidence of what's programmed in your mind. Okay. So in order for us to get to that belief that we're making $10,000 a month and for it to show up, we have to show our brain that it's what's happening. And in order to do that, we need to reverse engineer. Now, as we get down, into the academy, we're going to go through a brain priming module. But what we will be doing together is truly painting that picture. How you can do it now, Kathy, is this. You're coming to the realization that what I'm seeing around me has been created by the things that are programmed in my mind right now. So I can't change my current circumstances with the thinking that's got me right where I'm at. Thank you. That's Albert Einstein, I believe, that said that. So how we need to shift that thinking is to say, okay, I make $10,000 a month. What are the things that I would be doing if I made $10,000 a month? And start writing those things down. How would you show up? Who would you be? What kind of things would you be doing? How would you be spending your time? And after spending some time going through that, start taking those actions now. You've got to show your brain that it's safe in doing those things before it'll allow it to come. So I think it's fairly simple to start to sit down and say, okay, if I was making $10,000 a month, I would be doing X amount of calls, or I would have this group coaching program, or whatever that is for you. So really sitting down, and if you don't, like, if you're like, I have no idea what I'd be doing, then I would say tag me in the group and we could do some brainstorming around that. But I bet as we're sitting here talking, you're saying, oh, I know what I could be doing. So just, how would you be spending your time? Where would you be spending your energy? How would you be bringing in sales? What would you be showing up for? What wouldn't you be showing up for? What would you be doing? What things wouldn't you be doing? So at $10,000 a month, you're probably not like, I don't know, checking your own email every 5 minutes. And if that's a habit right now, then maybe that's something that needs to go. So you just start really brainstorming. When I'm at 10,000 a month, what things will I be doing, being, having, seeing, and start scheduling those things in your calendar now. And then we want to layer on top of that a brain prime where we can actually see ourselves there. But that's going to get you really unstuck in terms of that disconnect for sure. Renee said, I've had to refute and replace the thought that this brain work doesn't work for me. Yes, absolutely. And I can tell you, as much as our conscious brain is a unique snowflake and none are alike, our subconscious minds are not. And they are all work the same way. And we work with people all over the world. And this is the exact way your subconscious gets programmed and unprogrammed. So it is not, you're not the special snowflake in that department. As much as I know you are one, the place you are that is in your conscious thinking brain that allows you to train your subconscious. So this brain work is for you. And I love that you recognize that, because even in that, as you can see, it's trying to stop you. I love that. Best things in my life were not easy. That's funny. Childbirth came to my mind right when you said that. Sometimes I think being eaten by tigers might be easier. You're funny. Okay, Gwen says, I have your AM and PM brain priming audios on my phone. The other day, every time I touch my phone, even to check the time, Siri showed me the AM priming as a suggestion. Yep, it's like, it's coming at you. You can't get away from it. I love it. When do we know you're ready for module 2? Okay, so you're ready for module 2. If you've gone all the way through module 1 and you've at least worked one thought through the mind matrix. My encouragement would be a couple thoughts through, and that's why we camped on module 1 for a while, but that's what I would encourage you to do. And knowing that you can and will continue to go back to that process every time you have something pop up, right? So now you can start to move forward, start to break down the goals the way that your brain will accept, and start to work on them in a way that dampens that fight or flight response. Remember, we're going after trying to create this environment within your brain that allows for success. So as we start moving forward toward building this success pathway and breaking down goals in a way that they don't seem threatening and those type of things, which is where you're moving now, that mind matrix process is there for you as things pop up, and you're going to just constantly go back to that. And we will, in our next call, next Q&A, any questions that you have, we'll go through and try to break them down, just knowing you can always return to it. So, and I just really want to leave great conversation today, great genuineness, great openness. This is the kind of work that requires you being fully present. And I'm so proud of you for doing that. And I just want to leave you with this idea. As we learn more in neuroscience, as we look at different brain waves and what happens in our brain and what happens when we kick into fight or flight and the state that we're in, the brain wave state that we go in when we're in fight or flight, when we have one of these beliefs that pop up and put the brakes on for us, is not the brain wave state that you can be focused, that you can be productive, that you can have clear thought. And so again, we wonder, why are we broken? Why can't we be productive? Why can't I be focused? Why can't I do things? I will say it's not your fault in the sense that the neurochemicals firing off are not allowing it. And however, you have a tool now within your capacity to fully get back to the right brainwave state to do whatever you want. And so my encouragement to you and everybody that's been around the block with me a few times, it's this idea of trusting the process. Continue to trust the process. Continue to trust that you have everything that you need to be as successful as you want. The only thing that's getting in your way is some programming, and it's just a matter of practice. It's trusting the process. And so I love that you're in it. You're going for it. Even Jermaine, as you were saying, I'm starting and then I'm starting and then I'm starting. We'll keep starting, because it's when you push all the way through that you start to see some movement, and then your brain starts to work for you instead of against you. And then it really takes off. Susan, you're saying I unfortunately, I really am. It can help. He can help, but I don't know. It's just, I would really work with a professional with your teenage son. It sounds like he really does need that support, that extra support that can be given. Angela says, y'all, I've been through ESA officially a couple times now. However, I've gone through the modules about 4 to 6 times more. Same thing with the rest of the modules. Take your time and go back through over and over. Give yourself the grace to do that. Love that. Love that. You are welcome. I'm so glad you were so ready today, Christina. Let's wrap it on this. Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad you're getting him support. Yeah. But yeah, this is the way the brain is wired. And so, letting him see you go through the process, I think, is the best thing to make it okay. Right. Okay. Jean says they came in. Okay. When she worked through the modules, my statements were all worded differently. Underlying messages were similar. Yes. Jean, great job. Even recognizing that. I don't know if you recall, but one of the things that I was talking about is, although they have different faces, or they have different appearances, they typically boil down to 1 to 2 to 3 different kind of big buckets that a lot of beliefs tend to fall into. So I love that you recognize that, because that means you're just kind of getting deeper into what is holding up the belief. So if we have this belief, like, I can't go live, I can't put myself out there, somebody's going to figure me out, and that I'm an imposter, and what if they call me out? And we're having all these thoughts, but what is under all that, and what is holding all that up is, what if I'm not enough? Right? And then, of course, we want to be loved. And so if we put ourselves out there and somebody does that or puts a comment or whatever, that's validation that I'm not enough. So we do all these things to avoid feeling like we're not enough, where in reality, we change the thinking and know that we are enough, and we do the work and we do the practice and we trust the process, then we actually remove the undergirding, that belief of not enoughness, to I'm perfectly enough in and of myself, and what I have to offer is beautiful for the person that's there to receive it. And I only was able to whip that out like that because I've been there. So know that as you're filtering through and you're seeing some patterns coming up, that is true. The patterns are there because there's 1 or 2 main things that are really holding them up. And as you continue to peel back the onion, you'll find that it really does boil down to that. And the more you go after the deeper thought, the deeper statements that you're saying to yourself, the more they start to unravel down at the base. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing, Jean. I'm glad you are recognizing that. Thank you guys so much for today. We will get the next Q&A session time up so that you know when it is. And I am going to leave you with this thought. As always, you are the creator of your thoughts. So go and create the thoughts that create the life and business that you really, really want to have. And do not hold space for the ones that don't. All right. Talk to y'all soon. Appreciate you. Bye.